Today, we are diving into a really powerful idea. The fact that timeless stories, the really old ones, might just hold the key to rewriting our own lives. It's all about shifting from being a character in someone else's play to becoming the author of your own epic. So let's explore how to pick up that pen and start writing. So let me start by asking you a question, and I want you to really think about it. Are you the author of your own life? Or do you ever get that feeling that you're just a character, following a script that was handed to you, maybe by your family, your culture, or even your job? The difference between these two is absolutely profound. A passive character feels, controlled. They're defined by all these external labels and expectations. Life just kind of happens to them. But an active author, they're the ones holding the pen. They have the agency, the power to craft their own narrative, and really, to define their own reality. But you see, before we can even dream of becoming the author, we've got to recognize the story that's already been written for us. This is that passive script that so many of us follow, a lot of the time without even realizing it. We can call this the passive shadow script. It's that nagging feeling, right, that you're stuck in a role someone else gave you. Maybe you were labeled the anxious one, or the underachiever, or always the responsible one. These roles, they can feel like destiny, but it is so crucial to remember they are just stories, and any story can be rewritten. So the big question is, how do we make that change? How do we actually take control and pick up the pen? Well, this is where a really fascinating framework comes into play, and it offers a totally new perspective. Okay, this right here. This is the foundational principle, and it comes from a practice called narrative therapy. It says, the person is not the problem. The problem is the problem. Now just sit with that for a second. That simple shift is unbelievably powerful. It creates distance. It separates you from whatever you're struggling with. All of a sudden, anxiety isn't who you are. It's just a problem you're dealing with, an external thing you can look at, manage, and ultimately rewrite the story of. And that brings us to the core concept for today, the meta-narrative pen. Now, it's not a real pen, of course. It's a framework, a whole set of tools that uses the ancient, powerful art of storytelling to help you grab back your personal agency. It's this amazing blend of therapy and mythology designed to help you become the true architect of your own reality. And here is the best part of all this. You do not have to do it alone. This journey comes with a council of legendary guides, these incredible archetypes pulled from stories all across the globe. In this framework, you get a global council of 13 mentors. Yep, 13. Each one is a legendary storyteller from history and myth, and each one brings a unique power to the table to help you navigate life's biggest challenges and completely rewrite your script. So let's meet the first group from this council. These are the healers and the identity shifters. These are the mentors who specialize in healing those really deep wounds and fundamentally changing how you see yourself. First up, the systemic healers. We've got Shihara Zayed from 1001 Nights. Her power is what we call narrative persistence. Think about it. She's facing certain death, and she survives by breaking this massive crisis down into small, manageable, nightly stories. She teaches us that even the most overwhelming problem can be faced one chapter at a time. And then you have Forlimas, whose stories were so hypnotic they could create a narrative trance, literally breaking people out of those negative automatic thought loops and shifting their whole nervous system from panic to calm. Next, we have the identity shifters, and they empower us to just reject those limiting labels. First is Sun Wukong, the Monkey King. What a rebel. He famously erased his own name from the Book of Death. He represents that raw power to just say no to a script that fate or anyone else has written for you. Then there's Talancine, the reborn bard, who is all about identity fluidity. His story teaches us that who we are isn't fixed, and that even if trauma consumes our small self, a greater self can always be reborn through inspiration. The next group of mentors, they are the architects of reality. They help you move beyond just healing and into actively building a brand new world for yourself, reconstructing your memories, your relationships, and even the very words you use to define your life. This group is so cool. First, there's the Contendora, the bone collector, who teaches us to find those forgotten pieces of our past and our culture and literally sing our core values back to life. Then we have Spider-Woman, who shows us how to weave this amazing web of support by finding safety and strength in the interconnected threads of our community. And finally, there's Vyasa, who helps us zoom way out and see our personal struggles not as these isolated random events, but as a key part of a much larger family and ancestral story. And this all brings us to the power of language itself. With the sovereigns of the word, we have Enheduanna, the world's first known author, who literally used the pen as a tool to reclaim her rights and authority after being exiled. Then there's Thoth, the divine scribe, who teaches self-accountability, reminding us that with every thought, every action, we are recording our own life's script. And finally, Homer, the blind poet, who teaches us to find the real truth, not by looking outward at all the noise, but by developing our inner sight. Okay, so we've got this incredible council of powerful mentors. But how does all this theory translate into real, practical, concrete change in your life? What actually happens next? The whole process is powered by this engine, the 5 R's of recovery. It's simple, really. It starts with roles. You shift your perspective from being a passive victim of your circumstances to being an active creator of your story. Then you reclaim your rights, especially the right to define your own experience. With that comes new responsibilities, not to fix yourself, but to actively manage the problem. Then you curate your relationships, intentionally building a team that supports you. And finally, you identify your resources, all the inner strengths and outer tools that are going to power you forward. And when you really engage with this process, when you use these tools, you step into the final role. You become the 13th mentor on the council, the digital alchemist. You become the one who masters these tools, who translates these ancient, timeless stories into your own brand new reality. So let's end right where we started, with the one idea that unlocks everything else. You are not broken. You are not your diagnosis, you are not your trauma, and you are not your fears. Those are the problems, and a problem is something you can work on. A problem is something you can rewrite. The pen is in your hand. Your council of mentors is waiting. The story of your life, it is not finished. So the only question left is, what are you going to write on the next page?